I challenged myself to get every single achievement in Pokemon Fire Red. And I know what you're thinking, but Pokemon never had achievements, right? No. But with the power of retro achievements, it is now possible for us to replay all our favourite retro games, damn that makes me feel old, and obtain a full list of achievements. Some of these sound super fun to obtain and others are... yeah. With a total of 61 achievements for us to grab, it's time to get started. Pokemon Fire Red starts off like every other Pokemon game. Some weird old guy asking us some super personal questions, and even though he has a full working knowledge about the world of Pokemon, he doesn't even know his own grandson's name. So, say hello to Rizzy. We head downstairs to say goodbye to our mother. This game came out in 2004, which makes it 20 years old this year, which is, funnily enough, the last time I saw my own mother. Heading into the lab, we choose the best starter Pokemon, Squirtle, and challenge Rizzy to a battle. As you probably saw just then, when we chose Squirtle, a notification popped up saying 1 out of 170. Yes, one achievement in this game is to obtain every available Pokemon. Gotta catch them all, am I right? Anyway, we demolish Rizzy in our first Pokemon battle, which grants us our very first retro achievement. I Choose You, which is for defeating our rival in Oak's lab. As I start to train up my Squirtle, I capture both Pidgey and Rattata from Route 1. Head to Route 22 to capture Mankey and spend about 25 minutes looking for a 10% Spearow. You may be thinking this is the catching tutorial right now. Nope, that's me with how long it took to capture this stupid ass bird. Our next achievement actually counts as a missable achievement, so I gotta make sure I get it during this playthrough, and that is Champ in the Making, which is given to us by defeating our rival in an optional battle on Route 22. With our level 10 Squirtle, this battle is a breeze. We then start to make our way to Viridian Forest, and on the way capture a Caterpie. While in Viridian Forest, we battle all the trainers and also capture Weedle, Pikachu, and Kakuna. As we are quickly approaching our first gym battle, let me explain some of the requirements needed for the gym leaders. You see, we do get achievements for beating every gym leader in this game, but there is a second achievement we can acquire for every gym leader. When we face Brock, if we defeat him with set mode on, with 2 or less Pokemon in our party, and those Pokemon are less or equal to level 14, then we get an extra achievement. Now these achievements I absolutely love because they completely change the way I play through Pokemon. Normally I would have my starter Pokemon super over leveled, but these achievements had me thinking of teams I would need for each gym leader. And with the added bonus that I needed to capture every single Pokemon, it makes sense to mix up the teams as much as possible. For my first gym battle against Brock, I brought both my starter Squirtle and Mankey for backup. I have never in my life played a Pokemon game with set mode on. Set mode makes it so you don't know what's being brought out next in the battle, so you can't prepare and switch a Pokemon out. Turns out my Squirtle didn't even need backup, as it took down both Brock's Geodude and Onix in just a couple of hits, getting us 2 more achievements. The Rock Solid Trainer, which is how I'm feeling right about now, and a Rocky Battle for completing the gym battle using the requirements needed for the achievement. I grew up with Pokemon Blue being my first ever game, and up until now, this game has felt a little bit slow just like the older games, but that's about to change with the gift of the running shoes. Kids these days don't understand how special it was to be able to run around in these games, saving so much time going back and forth to heal between trainer battles and exploring the world. After a few more battles, our Squirtle evolved into Wartortle, and speaking of water Pokemon, Misty will be our next gym leader to face, so I needed to start thinking about what Pokemon I wanted to train up so I was ready to face her. The Pikachu I caught in Viridian Forest was actually terrible. For the mascot of the entire franchise, I expected a little bit more of Pikachu, but every battle it was getting knocked out and hardly doing any damage. So I checked out its nature. Turns out this particular Pikachu had a nature that made its special attack weaker, so I went and caught what I thought would be a better Pikachu, but spoiler alert, every Pikachu is bad, but for now, it will have to do. While heading to Mount Moon, I caught Nidoran male and then travelled to the Pokemon Center to get our next achievement. For the lovely amount of 500 quid, we can buy a Pokemon that's actually more useless than Pikachu, and that is Magikarp. By purchasing the Magikarp, we get the achievement A Fishy Scam. I head back outside to capture a Jigglypuff and spend about 20 minutes looking for Nidoran female. But in this patch of grass, it's a 1% encounter, which I'm not messing with right now. So we head straight into Mount Moon. In Mount Moon, we capture Zubat, Paras, and Geodude. Paras and Pikachu are the duo I have in mind for taking on Misty, so I start to train them up throughout the rest of Mount Moon. Towards the end, we come across another achievement, which is the Fossilized Pokemon achievement, which is given to us for beating up this nerd and taking 1 of 2 fossils, and of course, I had to take our savior, Lord Helix. Heading into Cerulean City, we meet up with Rizzy, who of course wants to battle us. After kicking his ass for a 3rd time at this point, we get the achievement Always Plodding Behind for defeating him. He tells us to head up towards Bill's house. We battle all the trainers on Nugget Bridge, and in the patch of grass next to it, I capture both Oddish and get super lucky with capturing an Abra, which will be very important later on. On the way to Bill's house, we take on a bunch of trainers, which is perfect for training up the team for Misty. Hi, my boyfriend is cool. That's nice, but did I ask? Oh, this guy's name is Hiker Knob. Do you think this is a boyfriend? We finally make it to Bill's house and get the SSN ticket and make our way to Misty's gym. And on the way, I have an epiphany. Pikachu sucks ass. So I'll take Paris and Wartortle into the gym battle with me, as Paris will be good with Bullet Seed and Wartortle no-knows Bite. That'll help with Starmie. To get the extra achievement for Misty, we must be under or equal to level 21 with only 2 Pokemon on the team, with set mode turned on. I skip the other trainers in the gym in fear of leveling up too high and take on Misty. The battle was a bit of a challenge. Paris took down Staryu, but died to Starmie, but Wartortle was able to take down the Starmie. Honestly, playing the game like this feels like an achievement in itself, as it's actually making me feel like a kid again playing Pokemon for the first time. And speaking of achievements, we get the Tomboyish Mermaid and Stealing the Star by earning our second badge. After leaving Cerulean City, we capture Meowth, obtain both the Old Rod and the Verse Seeker, which now allows us to fish for more Pokemon and rebattle any trainers we want, and head to Diglett's cave to capture, you guessed it, Diglett. I think it's time for another achievement, don't you? Throughout this game, there are a bunch of NPC trades you can do, and we're about to do our first one to obtain Farfetch'd, which is to trade a Spearow for a Farfetch'd, which makes that 25 minutes of searching for Spearow worth it in the end. We get the Farfetch'd trade achievement, and make our way to the SSN. The SSN is one of my favourite places in all of Pokemon. The music is the most nostalgic to me, as it's my first ever memory of playing Pokemon Blue, where I got my Blastoise for the first time, so that's always cool to reminisce. We search a bunch of the rooms finding items, trainers who want to battle us, and this one guy who somehow had a picture of me on his Pokédex. Heading deeper into the ship, we once again find Rizzy, who speaks French to us. Now, I don't know how to say in French, we just actually killed your Raticate, but after murdering one of his party members and winning the battle, we obtained the Smell You Later achievement. And head into the captain's quarters where we rub the captain's back. Alright, bit weird, but he gives us the HM for cut, meaning we can now take on the third gym. For Lieutenant Surge, we needed to be level 24 or under, and only have 3 Pokemon on our team. I brought Paris so I could cut down the tree outside the gym, and also Diglett and Geodude to help with electric Pokemon. Usually, I struggle a lot with this gym puzzle, trying to find the 2 switches needed for opening up the door, but this time, I got it on my second turn. Always made me laugh how this war hero and super strong gym leader was hiding behind a trash can puzzle from 10-year-olds. We absolutely demolish his team, granting us the achievements, the Lightning American and Dodging Thunderbolts. Heading to Route 11, we capture Drowsy, followed by Ekans. Make our way to Cerulean for a free bicycle and ride to Rock Tunnel. We may as well just call it Brock Tunnel because on my way through, I captured Onix and my Geodude evolved into Graveler. We made it to the creepypasta town known as Lavender Town and went to pay our respects at Pokemon Tower. Lol, JK, Rizzy showed up and killed the whole vibe, but that's fine because we defeated him and earned the achievement, Make Them Faint. After fighting all the trainers on Route 7, we took the underground path to Route 8, where our next team member waits. Erica is the next gym leader we need to fight, and with her being a grass-type trainer, I decided to catch the goodest of girls, Growlithe. I immediately went to Celadon City to purchase a Firestone to get Arcanine. Now, Growlithe would normally learn Flamethrower, but not until level 49, which is way too long to wait right now. So, my plan was to gamble. Let's go! If I manage to get 4,000 coins, I can just buy Flamethrower, but my luck absolutely sucks. After half an hour of gambling, I was nowhere near getting Flamethrower, so instead, I spent some time leveling up another team member to help me out, Pidgey. After evolving it into Pidgeotto, I spent some more time leveling up the 3 Pokemon I'm gonna take into the gym. Arcanine, Pidgeotto, and Drowsy. And after an hour and a half of battling, I was finally ready to take on Erica. Never mind, is that a tree? A tree that actually blocks the way to the gym? Again? Which none of the 3 Pokemon I've been training up can actually learn. Ugh. So, I dropped Drowsy and ended up bringing Paris. And now, I was finally ready to take on the entire gym of lady trainers. After defeating all the trainers and making a room full of women disappointed in me, which is an everyday occurrence for me, it was time to take on Erica. And honestly, I have no idea why I was so set on getting Flamethrower when Ember was good enough. Arcanine soloed her entire team, getting us the achievements, the nature-loving princess, and plants are no problem. for defeating her with 3 or less Pokemon under level 29 on set mode. After earning our 4th badge, I went back to the casino to gamble, but this guy was throwing off my whole vibe, so I battled him, and turns out there's a whole underground base of Team Rocket here. After spinning around the place for a while and battling some Rocket grunts, Paris finally evolved into Parasect. Then I finally met the boss of Team Rocket, Giovanni. Giovanni has a couple of rock types that Wartortle easily dealt with, but then he had a tanky baby mama Kangaskhan, which actually took some time to take down. But after we did, we earned the achievement Rigged Slots for stopping Team Rocket in Celadon City. For defeating Giovanni, we were also treated to the Sylph Scope. Earlier on, while training up my Arcanine, I took on all the Ghost-type trainers in Pokemon Tower, so getting back up there was an absolute breeze. We put Marowak's mother to rest, fought a few more Rocket trainers, and saved Mr. Fuji, who gave us a Pokeflute. Before waking up Snorlax with the newly acquired Pokeflute, I decided to get some extra achievements out of the way. We grabbed the secret Eevee from Celadon City to earn the Take Your Pick achievement, then went and obtained Fly to travel all the way back to Pewter City to pick up the Old Amber, which gave us the Extinct Flying Type achievement. It was time to head to Route 16 to capture the Snorlax block in the way. Once captured, we got the Sleeping Roadblock achievement and made our way to Fuchsia City. The first thing we did in Fuchsia City was get ourselves a proper good rod. Fished and caught Goldeen and Poliwag, and I also opened up the way to Saffron City. I gave the thirsty guard a link to my OnlyFans and a cup of tea, and she opened up the way. At this point, I decided it was best to capture a bunch of Pokemon to help towards our hefty achievement of capturing every single available Pokemon. So, we got to work. I went back to Viridian Forest to capture Metapod, battled against trainers until we had Butterfree, and also ended up evolving Kakuna into Beedrill. Flew to Celadon City to get a Thunderstone to get Raichu, went back to Diglett's Tunnel to capture Dugtrio, and went and visited a house that an NPC lived at to trade Abra for Mr. Mime, getting us the achievement, the Odd Mime. And speaking of trades, we also did a trade for a Nidoran female by trading our Nidoran male, which got us the Baby King for a Baby Queen achievement. We then caught Voltorb, Machop, Krabby and Horsey and obtained the Super Rod. We caught Venonat and a Gloom and used a Leaf Stone to get Vileplume. Then I spent a long ass time fishing with the Super Rod until we finally found a Gyarados. While filling up a bunch of the Pokédex, I thought it would be a good idea to head to the Safari Zone. And ever since playing this game, I now hate the Safari Zone. It's a dumb, unfair place that deserves to be burnt to the ground. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Our first time in the Safari Zone was actually really nice, as I caught Nidorino, Rhyhorn, Exeggcute, Seaking, and Nidorina. After capturing Nidorina, I now had 53 kinds of Pokemon, so I got an EXP share from the professor's assistant and traded Nidorino for a Nidorina to get the other gender swap trade achievement. I bought another Leaf Stone to get Exeggutor, caught Doduo, Raticate and Fearow, and Drowsy finally evolved into Hypno. Then I went back to the Safari Zone to capture Venomoth. Then came the fun. Oh boy, here we friggin' go. So, 170 Pokemon are in this game. Let's talk about that for a second. The Pokemon we can't get are the other two starter lines, Leaf Green exclusives, Trade Evolutions as this is a solo playthrough, and Kabuto as we only get to choose one fossil. But that means every other single Pokemon is needed, meaning the absolute torture that is the low level encounter rates in the Safari Zone. Take Chansey for example. The highest encounter rate you can find for Chansey is 4%, and right now I've seen 5 of them. All of them have ran away from me and I am losing my mind. Watch this fail on the 6th Chansey I found. Plenty of chances to capture, starting to wriggle 3 times, and it escapes and flees. I need to meet whoever made the Safari Zone, alright? All I want to do is talk. Funny thing is, the first Taurus I came across, which is a 1% chance to find, I caught instantly, so that was super lucky. At this point, it was 7 AM in the morning, so I got some rest and carried on the next day. I got the Gulteeth and Surf for finishing the Safari Zone maze, and then finally, it happened. I caught a Chansey and got the achievement, Lucky Egg. I then spent half an hour training up Poliwag to get Poliwhirl. By putting the EXP share on it, it barely took any time to evolve. And the reason I spent some time doing this is probably for the most important Pokemon for this playthrough. Jinx. In Cerulean City, you can trade a Poliwhirl for a Jinx to get the achievement, Trying Not to Jinx Myself. I'll explain a little later why this Jinx is so important for this playthrough, but for now, it's time for more achievements. First, let's take on Koga. For Koga, we needed to use Pokemon that were level 43 or lower, and could only have 4 or less Pokemon in our party. For this gym, I brought our brand new Jinx, Hypno, Graveler, and Wartortle. But all I needed was Jinx. Jinx got us the achievements, the Poisonous Ninja Master, and Don't Get Poisoned achievements. After earning the 5th badge, we travelled to Silphco, and after teleporting around for what seemed like an hour, I ended up running into everyone's favourite trainer, Rizzy. For defeating Rizzy here, we get the Don't Sweat It achievement. Also, I left an empty spot on my team, so I could talk to this person and obtain Lapras, getting the Transporter achievement. Just before taking on Giovanni for a second time, the Rocket Grunt guarding the door got my Wartortle to level up and finally evolve into Blastoise. With Blastoise, I defeated Giovanni, claiming the 1 ball to catch 'em all achievement, and got gifted the Master Ball, which I'll be saving for a very specific Pokemon, and it may not be the one you're thinking of right now. While in Saffron City, we took on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, who had the same requirements as Koga. Once defeated, we got the Mistress of Psychic Pokemon, and her psychic powers are not strong enough achievements. The last 2 badges claimed meant I can now use Surf and Strength whenever I want. And that reminds me, I never got Strength from Fuchsia City for grabbing the Gold Tea from the Safari Zone. So I went back to the Warden's house to grab HM04. Now that we can Surf, it was time to claim some extra Pokemon. On the way to Cinnabar Island, we got Tentacool, Psyduck, Golbat, Seal, and resurrected both Omanyte and Aerodactyl. And then I had a horrible realization. You see, to be able to get all 170 Pokemon, I'm gonna have to do a lot of training later on down the line, with Pokemon like Omanyte who don't evolve until level 40, and others who take even longer. One way to do this would be to use the EXP share. You know that item you can only claim once in this game and never again? EXP share works different in this game compared to other Pokemon games. Only 1 Pokemon can hold the EXP share, instead of the whole team benefiting from it. So, why is this a problem? Well, my dumbass forgot to take the EXP share off of Poliwhirl before trading it for Jinx. So this is going to be fun. To cheer myself up, I went to get another achievement. In Saffron City, there is a second optional gym where you can take on the Karate Master to get the achievement Karate Master, funnily enough. Now, heading back to Lavender Town, let me introduce you to an old friend of mine. This is Hiker Trent, and he is responsible for helping me evolve a lot of Pokemon so far, including Carl the Psyduck here. All my Psyducks are always referred to as Carl. Anyway, using the Versika, get used to seeing a lot of battles against Trent, as he helps me in my Pokédex journey. After some more battles against him, I finally had Golduck. Heading back to Cinnabar Island, I was able to do 2 trades. Venonat for Tangela, which got me the Tangled Mess achievement, and then with our brand new Golduck, I was able to trade it for a Lickitung at Route 18 to obtain Long Lick of the Tongue achievement. To take on the gym at Cinnabar Island, we had to complete the Pokemon Mansion maze to grab the key for the gym, and while doing this, I caught Coughing and also a Ditto. Skipping all the trainers due to my sick Pokemon knowledge, I was able to take on Blaine right away, using any Pokemon under level 47 and having 4 or less Pokemon on my team. For this battle, I used Blastoise, and for backup, I brought Arcanine, Jinx, and our new traded Pokemon, Lickitung, or if we want to go by his traded name, Mark. After taking out all these Pokemon with Surf, we earned the Hot-Headed Quizmaster and When You're Hot achievements. Now, this is where things get interesting. I've played Pokemon Blue since I was a kid, and I've done everything there is to do on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. But growing up, I never had a Game Boy Advance, so this is actually my first time playing Pokemon Fire Red, and I've never had a chance to do all the extra content such as the Sevi Islands. So, after beating Blaine, we get the option to go with Bill to the Sevi Islands, and I took the opportunity. When we arrive, Bill Gates has to work on a computer as he always does, so he gives us the task to deliver a meteorite to a man on 2 Islands. Yes, that is the actual name of the island. At least these guys can't get lost. So, we travel to 2 Island, and the man talks of his missing daughter, and asks us to search for her. During this conversation, a biker interrupts us. We then travel to 3 Island and beat up a whole ass biker gang who are bullying some of the residents. After beating them up, we head into the berry forest and meet Lostel, who was kidnapped by a Hypno. We defeat the Hypno and bring her back home to get the achievement No Tears, Only Dreams. For now, we are done with the Sevi Islands, but we will be back later for more achievements. But right now, we have an 8th badge to collect. We fly back to Viridian City to enter the 8th gym. The team I brought for Giovanni was Blastoise, Jinx, Arcanine, Mark the Lickitung, and Snorlax. Now, even though I'm about to battle Giovanni and get my 8th badge, we are still nowhere near finishing this achievement list. If anything, I would say we are just getting started on what is about to be the biggest grind of this challenge. We take down Giovanni with ease, grabbing the self-proclaimed strongest trainer achievement and the well-grounded achievement for defeating him with 5 or less Pokemon, all under level 50. I head to Route 22 to have one final battle against Rizzy before the Elite Four, which gives us a warm-up achievement. And then before going forward with the Elite Four, I decide it's time to make a bigger dent in the Pokédex achievement. First, we do a couple of Moonstone evolutions for Nidoqueen and Wigglytuff. Level up Pidgeotto to get a Pidgeot, capture both Gaslit and Cubone at Pokemon Tower, and get ourselves a Persian by evolving Meowth. Heading to Mount Moon, I spend 50 whole minutes looking for a single Clefairy. With it being a 1% encounter, it took ages to find, but we finally got it and gave it a Moonstone to get Clefable. We then fly back to the Safari Zone and manage to capture a Dratini and spend an hour looking and failing so many friggin' Cyphers. I can't state how much I hate both Cypher and the Safari Zone right now. It's not all doom and gloom though, as I managed to get a Nidorino to evolve into Nidoking. I got myself a Shelder and bought Water Stones to get both Cloyster and Poliwrath. I find Grimer at the Pokemon Mansion, and then it was time for another achievement. While going through the power plant, I capture Magnemite and Electabuzz, before having a showdown with the legendary Thunderbird, Zapdos. By capturing Zapdos, we get the Zapped achievement. After getting Zapdos, I surf to Seaform Island, capture a Dugong, complete the Boulder Puzzle, and take on my favourite legendary bird, Articuno, getting the Frozen Solid achievement. After capturing 2 legendary birds, I was feeling lucky, so I went back to the Safari Zone and finally, Cypher! Cypher has been caught. I got super lucky with the final Safari Zone Pokemon as well, which was a Kangaskhan. Now, remember a while ago when I said this Jinx was going to be the most important Pokemon of the playthrough? Here is why. You see, after beating all the gym leaders, we only had a couple of missable achievements left to get. These are achievements we need to earn during our first playthrough of the game. Otherwise, I would have to play through the whole game again just to claim them. And here it is. The achievement I needed to earn was called Solo Mastery. This achievement is given for beating the first round Elite Four with only 1 Pokemon in your party, and Jinx will be that 1 Pokemon. So, why this Jinx? For starters, it's a traded Pokemon, and traded Pokemon earn boosted XP from battles, so it's much easier to level up. Psychic and Ice is a great typing in this game, and Jinx has an insane special attack. So, all I need to do now is build it into a sweeping machine, and here's the moveset we need. Psychic, which I grabbed from Saffron City, Calm Mind, which we got from Sabrina's gym battle, Lovely Kiss, which it already knew, and finally, Ice Beam. And how do we get Ice Beam? By getting 4,000 coins at the game corner. So, I grabbed an Amulet coin and trained up against Hiker Trent, earning 2,000 Pokecoins every time I defeated him. After earning 20,000 from Trent, I went to the game corner and bought as many coins as I could, which got my total to 3,800 from having some coins from earlier on. All I needed was one more big payout and Ice Beam would be mine, and after some playing, we got it! Jinx was almost ready to take on the Elite Four. Next, I needed some PP ups. With taking on the whole Elite Four on its own, Jinx would run out of moves, but by finding all the secret PP ups around the region of Kanto, I was able to boost the PP of both Psychic and Ice Beam. I finally travelled to Victory Road, showing off all my badges I had earned so far in my journey. Throughout Victory Road, we caught Marowak and Machoke and made it to the other side. But I still wasn't ready. Jinx was level 62, but it needed to be higher. So I went around Kanto looking for all the hidden rare candy spots, and by the time I was finished, Jinx was level 69. Nice. It was time to take on the Elite Four. I held my breath and walked in to fight Lorelei. Using Calm Mind, I beefed up my special attack and one-shot all of her Pokemon. 1 Elite Four down. For Bruno and Agatha, I didn't even need to use Calm Mind, as Jinx was super effective against all of their Pokemon. 2 and 3 down. 1 Calm Mind against Lance, and Jinx was good to go. What an insane Pokemon. Finally, finally, it was time for the man of the hour, Rizzy. Did Rizzy stand a chance against my Jinx? Did he have any secret Pokemon or special abilities that would stop the insane sweeping of Jinx? The answer is no. Jinx had gotten all the way to the Hall of Fame on its own, getting me the achievements, solo mastery, and the real champ won. Let's go, wait, did that just say the real champ won? As in I have to do this again? Yes. Even though we had just finished the Elite Four and beat the game, we still had a ton more achievements to go. The grind never stops in Kanto. So I had a mini celebration, and by that I had some donuts and a monster, picked myself up and got ready for the rest of the achievement grind. It was time to head to the Sevi Islands. Like I said, I had never done any of the extra content over on the islands, and boy, did we still have a lot to do. I didn't even know that Moltres had been moved here into Mount Ember, but I scaled the mountain, fought the legendary Firebird, and claimed the Molten achievement. On the way down, I caught a Ponyta and got sent on a quest to find a Ruby and a Sapphire for this giant computer, so I was able to trade with trainers from Hoenn. I found the Ruby hidden deep within Mount Ember, being guarded by Team Rocket, and brought it back to the giant computer. I then got access to all the other islands. There are 7 islands. Sevi Islands! That makes sense now! Anyway, I showed up on 4 Island to help out Lorelei with some Rocket Grunts, which gave us the achievement Helping Hand. The Rocket Grunts claim to have a hidden base on 5 Island, so I quickly sailed over there, and on the way to the hideout we caught our very first Gen 2 Pokemon, Sentret and Hoppip. While exploring 5 Island, I surfed into a maze and caught a Tentacruel, and then came across a strange old man who gave us a Pokemon egg, giving us the achievement New and Exciting Things. After leaving the old man, we came across an empty house and got told that a girl called Selfie lived here. So we explored a nearby cave, and after doing a puzzle, found and battled her, getting the Resort Gorgeous achievement. After returning Selfie home, I did some more exploration and found some ruins. After another puzzle, I had found the Sapphire, but it was stolen by this nerd, who went running off to the Team Rocket base. I now had both passwords after battling some grunts, so it was time to take on the Team Rocket base. After getting stuck on a simple spinning puzzle for half an hour, I made it to the end. I beat Team Rocket and got the Sapphire back, getting the Blasting Off Again achievement. Not too long afterwards, our mysterious egg that we obtained from the old man hatched into a Togepi. Now, for these next achievements, I have to do a bit of explaining. Throughout my journey so far, you have seen me do certain trades for Pokemon to earn achievements, and I had 2 left to do. One was a trade for a Ponyta for a Seal, which I couldn't do up until now, and the other is to trade a Raichu for an Electrode, and this Electrode is going to help us get 4 achievements. Yep, that's right, a whole 4 achievements. Before I do these trades, I need a very specific Raichu, a level 3 Raichu. And here's why. In the Sevi Islands, there is the Battle Tower. The Battle Tower hosts 4 different trainer challenges that we need to complete to earn an achievement for each challenge. Now, the Pokemon levels in the trainer tower match your Pokemon's levels that you enter into the challenge with. So now that we have a level 3 Raichu by capturing a level 3 Pikachu and giving it a Thunderstorm, I was able to get a level 3 Electrode. So I travelled to Cinnabar Island and got the Spherical Electric type and Just Trying to Seal the Deal achievements. So, why specifically a level 3 Electrode? You see, Electrode has one interesting move that's going to speedrun all 4 of the challenges we need to do at the trainer tower, and that move is Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom always deals 20 points of damage, and with the Pokemon all matching level 3, very few of them have more than 20 HP. So, we take Electrode, some Weedles, and a Rattata with some revives and heals and take on the Single Battle Challenge, which gets us the trainer tower singles achievement. Each trainer challenge took about 15 to 25 minutes each, but after using the Electrode and help from the other team members, we got the other 3 achievements: Trainer Tower Doubles, Trainer Tower Knockout, and Trainer Tower Mixed. Shoutouts to the community on the Fire Red Retro Achievements forums for the help on this one. The tips and guides that people posted made these achievements last just longer than an hour, compared to the amount of time it would have taken me to do this on my own. We were now getting close to finishing up all the achievements. We had just 5 achievements left to get. So, it's time to make our final big dent into the Pokédex achievement. With the Sevi Islands unlocked, we now had access to all the Generation 2 Pokemon available from these islands. And I still had some Kanto Pokemon to capture as well. Some of the Kanto Pokemon Pokemon needed to be captured, hatched, or evolved. So let's do this. First, I managed to capture a Fampi, Larvitar after some struggling, and a Skarmory. The Gen 2 Pokemon definitely felt harder to capture. Then I went back to Victory Road to capture both Primeape and Arbok, and then spent a whole hour training to get Grimer to finally evolve into Muck. I grabbed Omanyte and spent another hour training it to level 40 and finally had Omastar. I got Abra to level 15 to evolve into a Kadabra, caught a Rapidash and a Magneton, trained up Krabby to evolve into Kingler. I remembered that I never grabbed a Pokemon from the dojo, so I flew all the way to Saffron City and got Hitmonchan and also caught a Seadra. Next, it was time to do breeding for the first time. I grabbed Ditto and Eevee and went to 5 Island and put them into the daycare together, and after about 40 minutes, I had 3 newly hatched Eevees, which I gave a Thunder, Water, and a Firestone to get Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon. I then spent another 40 minutes training a Coughing to evolve it into Weezing. Finally got Dratini to evolve for the first time into Dragonair. Do not get me started on Dragonite and Tyranitar in this game. We're getting there, but man, that was a long ass day. Anyway, I evolved Sentret into Ferret, Hoppip into Skiploom, caught Yanma, Natu, Wobbuffet, Spinarak, had the most annoying time trying to capture Heracross, and I also caught Ledibur, Swinub, and Delibird before getting some sleep for the night. In the morning, or should I say afternoon, as I was awake until 8 AM doing the Pokédex that night, I caught Quillfish, got myself a Haunter, Murkrow, did a puzzle to unlock the unknowns, and then caught Dunsparce and Slugma. Now it was time to do more breeding. I visited my PC and grabbed a bunch of Pokemon to throw at my Ditto, which gave me eggs for 2 Tyrogues, Pichu, Igglybuff, Clefairy, Elekid, Wynaut, and Smoochum. I then took some careful time training my Tyrogues to make sure they evolved correctly into Hitmonlee and Hitmontop. I evolved Ledibur and Skiploom into Ledian and Jumpluff, caught Weeper and evolved it into Quagsire. Spent some time training to obtain Ariados, evolved Fampi into Donphan, gave a Sunstone to Gloom to get Blossom, trained some more to get Piloswine, Xatu, Macago, and Dodrio. Then I spent my life savings on drugs to make my Chansey happy so it would finally evolve into Blissey. After all this training and moving my amulet coin between my Pokemon, I had enough money to buy close to max coins at the game corner, which I did. Played a few more spins to get a jackpot and used my 9,999 coins to purchase Porygon. Almost there, guys, and here is the most grinding I've ever done in my life. I had 4 Pokemon to work on today, and boy, did they make sure to take the whole last day. First were the friendship evolutions for Torgetic and Crobat, which took about 2 hours. After evolving these guys and everything else from the past couple of days, my Jinx had actually reached level 100. That's insane. Now it was time for the big 2, Dragonite and Tyranitar. It took 5 hours to get Dragonair to finally evolve into Dragonite, and I've been using Dratini since I first got it whenever I could. Larvitar evolved into Pupitar, and after a few more hours, I finally had my Tyranitar. Please, please tell me I never have to do training ever again in my life. I had 3 Pokemon left to find, and this is where the Master Ball comes into play. You may be thinking I'm going to be saving the Master Ball for Mewtwo. Nope, because there is one Pokemon that needs it more. You see, once you beat the Elite Four for the first time in Fire Red, one of the legendary beasts gets released into the wild in Kanto. Depending on the starter Pokemon you chose, that will determine the beast you get, and our beast was Raikou. I used a Max Repel and went between Viridian City and Route 2 until Raikou appeared, threw the Master Ball, and got the achievement, the Legendary Beasts. 4 achievements left and 2 Pokemon left to capture. Those Pokemon were Mewtwo and Rhydon, which after some research both appear in Cerulean Cave, so I'll get those after. For now, it was time to do the Elite Four one final time. We get achievements for finishing the second round of Elite Four, and you guessed it, do it with 1 Pokemon in the party again. And luckily, after all the grinding we've been doing, Jinx was level 100 and ready to go. I smashed through the Elite Four and got back to Rizzy, thinking this was it. I'm finally about to be done with this challenge, but nope, I had to do it all over again because Rizzy now has a friggin' Heracross that just happens to survive on 1 HP from my Jinx and one-shots me with Mega Horn. Lovely, I love that for me. So I pulled it together, got all the way back to Rizzy, and I played it more safe by using Lovely Kiss and put it to sleep, and finally fainted it and took out the rest of the team. And for the second time in this playthrough, I was the Kanto League champion, gaining me the achievements, the Real Champ 2, and the True Solo Master. The end of the journey was in sight. All I had to do was travel to Cerulean Cave, capture both Rhydon and Mewtwo, and every achievement in this game would be mine. But, of course, this journey had to have one more teeny tiny extra twist to it. Remember earlier on when I evolved Tyranitar and Dragonite and prayed that I would never have to grind levels ever again in my life? Well, guess what my dumbass did? When looking up about Rhydon and seeing it was in Cerulean Cave, I actually read the encounter list for Let's Go Pikachu. Rhydon could not be found in Cerulean Cave in Fire Red. The only way to obtain it is to evolve Rhyhorn, which meant I had one more hurdle to go. I took Rhyhorn and for 2 more hours trained it up until it became Rhydon. Finally, one Pokemon awaits, with 2 more achievements to unlock. It's happening. I can't believe it. I made my way to Cerulean Cave with my badass team. My level 100 Jinx, who had got me through the Elite Four 2 times on its own. The Rhydon I just spent ages training up. Zapdos, the first legendary I caught on this journey. Both Dragonite and Tyranitar to flex on Mewtwo with how long it took to get them both. And of course, my starter Pokemon, Blastoise. After some searching, I had found Mewtwo, and it was time for one final battle to wrap up this adventure. Using Jinx, one Psychic got it into yellow HP. I used Lovely Kiss to put it to sleep, and then I threw Ultra Balls like my life depended on it. And finally, it happened. Mewtwo was finally mine, and it gave me the achievements Psyched, and the big one, Gotta Catch 'Em All, Fire Red. After 53 hours of battling, training, gambling, trading, grinding, discovering new content, and having an absolute blast, I had mastered Pokemon Fire Red. Thank you for watching, and if you want to find out the next game I'm gonna master, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. I want to master every game from my childhood using Retro Achievements, a site that adds achievements to retro games, and today's game is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released on the PlayStation 1 in 2001, alongside the film. It was called Sorcerer's Stone in the US, and that's the version that we're playing today with the achievements. And back in the day, I played the PC version, so I thought this would be a nice chill collectathon from my childhood. But little did I know that every version of this game that released on different platforms was an entirely different game. On top of that, the achievements for this game make it go from a casual cozy collectathon to one of the most stressful playthroughs of my entire life. With 61 achievements to grab in the PS1 version, and 41 missable achievements, oh god. Let's dive in. The game begins showing the start of Harry Potter's journey. We see Hagrid arrive with him as a baby, dropping him off with his step-parents, the Dursleys. We learn nothing about why he's called the Boy Who Lived or his original parents, but it's whatever. He gets a letter to join Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and after taking the train to the castle and being sorted into the House of Gryffindor, the game throws us straight into the castle to meet— holy crap, what is that? Yeah, I forgot this is how humans looked on the PlayStation 1. Dumbledore looks like he's melting into himself. After talking to him, we are free to just roam the castle. And honestly, Hogwarts Castle surprised me. With this being a PS1 game, I totally forgot the scale of this game. Being able to journey around the entire castle and have more of it unlocked throughout the game is great. There's something new around every single corner. And speaking of which, here is our first achievement, the second most famous wizard, for finding the Merlin wizard card in Gryffindor Tower. These famous witches and wizard cards are the first collectibles in the game, and we need to be on the lookout for them, as there are 17 altogether. We find this wizard card by opening up a secret wall next to Fred and George. Throughout the game, Fred and George will give us the task to collect a certain amount of different flavours of Bertie Bott's every flavoured bean. The second collectible for us to be on the lookout for. The first beans we need to find are the Earwax beans, which are coloured yellow. We continue and run into Ron and Malfoy. Turns out, Malfoy has stolen our owl Hedwig, and we need to find her and get her back. This starts the tutorial for the game. We can climb, and the game auto jumps for us, which is a bit weird to get used to at first. We unlock the next section and bump into Nearly Headless Nick, who helps us at certain points of the tutorial, and has absolutely no need for punctuation.
Hello, Harry Potter. My name is Nearly Headless Nick, and I am the Gryffindor House Ghost.
He teaches us that we can free look by pressing triangle. We make our way up the room by climbing and jumping, picking up Hedwig feathers along the way, and towards the top, we find a chocolate frog, another collectible in this game. There are a certain amount in each, let's call them chapters, throughout the game, which we will need to find for certain achievements. In the next room, it's finally time to use some magic. By pressing X, we can use the Flipendo spell, which means I get to hear this for the next few days.
Flipendo! Flipendo! Flipendo!
The sparkles that you can see above the snails as I'm defeating them indicate that I can earn some house points here. House points are the final collectible throughout the game, and it's an important one, as it's going to cause me a huge headache throughout the game. For now, all you need to know is the house with the most points by the end of the game will win the house cup. So any points that we earn throughout the game will get us points for Gryffindor. We will return to the house points in just a little bit. In the next room, we learn that by holding X, I can use a stronger version of Flipendo and move objects around, and I earn some more house points. The next room shows a cutscene of a hooded figure who suddenly disappears. I move some objects and notice a chocolate frog that I can't reach just yet, so for now, I move on. Whoa, they did Neville dirty in this game. He looks like a disease. Anyway, we take out some flying books and finally find Hedwig. By releasing Hedwig, we get the achievement, Your New Delivery Pet, for freeing Hedwig from the cage that Malfoy put her in. Hedwig rewards us with a broom, so you know what that means? Flying lessons with Madam Hooch.
I am Madam Hooch, your teacher.
After getting jump scared by her, we learn to fly by holding X, and by going through these coloured rings that appear. It's a little hard to control at first, and these early flying lessons are no joke. We can get extra house points by finishing all of them, but I failed on the last one. Ah well, I'm sure that won't matter this early on, right? Next we meet Hermione. She leads us to our first lesson, and on the way, the earwax beans have now started to appear in the overworld. There was even one in the flying lesson. I head back towards Fred and George and find the Gryffindor common room. In here, we get taught that there are also potions that we can pick up that will also heal us. These are to be collected with the chocolate frogs, which we can also find 2 of in the common room, and the next important item, which is a save book. We can only save whenever we find one of these save books, so remembering where they are is super important. We also get 3 save files, and this will be super useful later on. For now, we race to the next lesson, collecting as we go, and learn our next spell, Wingardium Leviosa. I remember on the PC version, to learn a spell, you would have to trace an image as accurate as you could, but here, we just have to tap the buttons on the controller with this little light going towards them, so it's pretty straightforward. By doing this, we pop our next achievement. It's pronounced Leviosa, not Leviosa, for learning the Wingardium Leviosa spell in Charms class. We use this spell to lift an hourglass on top of this wall, and the lesson is finished. As we leave, Hedwig drops off a letter from Hagrid, asking us to meet him at the castle grounds. But before heading there, we can now explore another room in the castle, the Great Foyer. Here, we can find some rooms with a bunch of beans to collect while trying to avoid the knights that are attacking us. Then, I found another hidden room behind a bookcase, which revealed our next wizard card and our next achievement, a name in English and Parseltongue, for finding Salazar Slytherin's wizard card. We can earn another wizard card in the next secret room. This kid has had his items charmed, so we have to hit them with Flipendo to give them back to him. There are chocolate frogs, pumpkins, and cauldrons, and after hitting all of them, he rewards us with another wizard card and an achievement, writing about Muggle heresy, for completing the minigame in the Great Foyer to earn the Cornelius Agrippa card. The Great Hall is also opened up, and after exploring bits of the castle I have currently unlocked, here I can grab the last few earwax beans to pop the achievement, not one toffee flavoured bean in sight, for collecting all of the earwax beans. By returning back to Fred and George, we show them that we have collected all of the earwax beans that they asked for, and in return, they give us a password, Fizzy Pop, which we can use in this room for this portrait, which unlocks the achievement, Every Seeker's Favourite Broom, for collecting all 50 earwax beans to earn the Nimbus 2000. Nice! Up next is the first annoying achievement of the game. Malfoy is currently blocking the door that we need to get through, so we have to have a fight with him. In this fight, he throws wizard crackers at us. All we have to do is pick up the ones that he throws at us and throw them back at him to hurt him. Alright, that's not too bad. After hitting him a couple of times, he calls in crab, and I just need you guys to watch this.
Crab!
Now, Malfoy has super wizard crackers, and Crabbe is throwing the regular ones at us. Okay, this is getting a little bit harder. On the final phase of the fight, Goyle also gets called in.
Crab, you idiot! You're supposed to protect me! Goyle, get in here!
And now, we have to avoid all 3 of them, whilst also trying to throw the crackers back at Malfoy. So why is this boss fight so difficult? Well, a set of achievements in this game are earned by doing boss fights without getting hit. And my god, no matter what, I always got hit towards the end. The worst thing about this, every time I got hit, not only did I have to start again, I had to sit through every cutscene of Crabbe and Goyle and Malfoy over and over again. And after an entire hour of struggling, I finally defeated them, earning 2 achievements. British 4th of July celebration for defeating Malfoy in a duel of wizard crackers, and it's dangerous to play with wizard crackers for defeating Malfoy in a duel of wizard crackers without getting hit. After the duel, we get a cutscene showing the current house points. This happens after each chapter in the game, and as we can see, Gryffindor is currently winning, which is good, right? After that duel, what could possibly be our next reward?
Hello, Harry, it's me, Hagrid.
The absolute legend himself, PS1 Hagrid. Look at him. He lets us know that herbology class is about to start, so we rush over there. As I'm trying to get to class, I notice some new blue beans, so I go out of my way to collect them, and after pushing all the objects around, I ended up being late for class, and this was the moment that would eventually cause me to restart the entire game. For being late, Professor Sprout takes 5 points from Gryffindor. We learn a brand new spell, Incendio, which is used to cast fire on certain enemies or objects, and by doing this, we get the achievement, "Oh, you got a license for that wand, bruv?" for learning the Incendio spell in herbology. Up next is some flying lessons, but those 5 points being taken away from Gryffindor really got me worried. So I checked out more of the achievement list, and I found some achievements that require us to have a very certain amount of house points by the end of each chapter, meaning I have to start my save all over again, as I've missed quite a few house points by now, and even some chocolate frogs. Hey, with 41 missable achievements, this was bound to happen, but in order to make this so much easier, I may as well just do a 100% playthrough from the very start. Running back through the tutorial, I even got an extra achievement for getting all the chocolate frogs this time. Frog Frenzy at the lower castle, for collecting all of the chocolate frogs at the lower castle. I missed this one last time due to the area being locked off, and not being able to go back into it after the tutorial had finished. Speaking of locked off areas, we have the early flying lessons again. There are 3 in total, with the final one being the hardest. And all of these lessons have to be done back to back in order to earn the max amount of house points from Madam Hooch. This took me a solid half an hour of trying, then having to restart and get back to the flying challenges again. Eventually, I got all of the house points. You see, while I was looking up how to get the house points, it turns out this game, with how old it is not very well documented. But luckily someone on Retro Achievements has made this spreadsheet, which helps with all the beans, house points, wizard cards, chocolate frogs and potions. I need to say a massive thank you for this spreadsheet, because without it, I would have probably had to do about 7 playthroughs, because some of the stuff is super easy to miss, especially with the areas that lock you out after leaving. Thanks to the guide, this time I got all of the house points. The house points in the first section of the game are given for killing snails, moving blocks into position, destroying cobwebs and killing rats, taking out the books, doing the flying lessons, moving the hourglass and this one random candle, getting all these butterflies for Hagrid by going back into the flying lessons, and moving these 2 hourglasses before taking on Malfoy in the wizard cracker fight. Now you can see why this spreadsheet was a blessing. For doing all of this, we get the achievement Starter Spark, for getting a total of 120 points for Gryffindor on the first house point hourglass recap. Oh, alright, we are finally back on track. I'll be using all 3 of my save files from now on to make sure I'm saving at important parts of the game, so I don't miss out on anything and I don't need to restart all over again. We begin by heading into a forest area and we have a Puffskein. By getting it to eat the plants, I can collect more beans. Heading further into the forest, we find Hagrid's hut. Hagrid asks us to bring him some fire seeds. As we head further down, Neville comes running at us to warn us about a monster. This monster will be our next boss battle, and yes, it's another one that I have to do without being hit. It's a Warthog Gargoyle, which moves around and flies super fast. I managed to hit it with Flipendo while dodging its attacks, and somehow defeated it on my first try, much easier than Malfoy. Using Wingardium Leviosa, I move it back into place to pop 2 achievements. So long as this gargoyle doesn't sing, for putting the living gargoyle back on its pedestal, and it's only a statue, for doing it without taking any damage. Before leaving, I tried attacking these textures on the walls, as they don't look real, but nothing happened, so for now, I moved on. In the next area, we find our first potion. Potions are the other collectibles alongside the chocolate frogs, but they also heal us when picked up. Then I headed further into the forest, avoiding lava, using Puffskeins to get up to high places, collected beans, used a wang lever, hopped over some platforms above some lava, and used Incendio on this plant at the end to collect the fire seeds for Hagrid. After returning them back to Hagrid, we got the achievement How to Hatch Your Dragon, for giving the fire seeds back to Hagrid needed to hatch Norbert. We put down the fire seeds and Norbert hatches out of the dragon egg, and Hagrid gives us a book as a reward. Leaving Hagrid's hut, we bump into Ron, who takes us to the Quidditch pitch. But before we can enter, Neville shows up saying that Malfoy has stolen his Remember-All. So it's up to us to get it back. Another Malfoy boss fight. Here we go. I don't know why this blonde bastard has the worst fight fights in the game, but here we are. For this fight, we must chase down Malfoy on our broom. We just have to get close to him, and then by pressing square, we are able to hit him. We have to do this by flying a super tight course and also dodging the bludgers he keeps throwing at us. This is a super easy fight, but doing it hitless is just an absolute nightmare. And to make things worse, there are 3 chocolate frogs that also need to be collected throughout the boss fight, and you can't return to this area later on. I ended up rage quitting this after my first day of playing the game, and returned the next day to finish it on my first try. Has anyone ever had that? When you try something for so long and then you leave it for a bit, come back, and it's done on the first go. I swear it always happens. For defeating Malfoy, we pop 2 achievements. Broom on Broom Violence for retrieving the Remember All from Malfoy, and Not a Scratch on That Broom for retrieving it without taking any damage. So, what about those chocolate frogs? Well, this is where having 3 save files comes in handy. Now that I have the 2 Malfoy achievements, I can load back into the level from my previous save, and collect the chocolate frogs without having to worry about doing the battle perfectly. After the battle, we give the Remember All back to Neville, and Professor McGonagall finds us and tells us that she was impressed with our flying skills, and we will now be competing in the next Quidditch match as the new Gryffindor Seeker, which starts right now. Quidditch is actually super easy on this game, which is crazy because I remember it being super difficult on the PC, but I was also a kid back then. All we have to do is fly through the coloured rings made by the Golden Snitch, and after doing this until the bar at the bottom is full, we get a chance to time a capture on the snitch. Once captured, we win the Quidditch game for Gryffindor, and pop the achievement, the Quidditch season opener, for winning the Gryffindor vs Hufflepuff match during the adventure mode. After Quidditch, Professor Snape finds us and blames us for taking the book that Hagrid gave to us. He then asks us to find a missing sloth brain and bring it to Potions class. Ron then opens up an extra section of the forest for us to explore. We find a plant that we defeat with Incendio and earn some house points. And by pulling up all 4 of these mushrooms, not only do we get more beans, but we can also earn some extra house points. And just around the corner, we find the sloth brain needed for Professor Snape. By leaving the area, we get the achievement Halfway to Glory, for getting a total of 250 points for Gryffindor on the second house point hourglass recap. I then leave the castle to find Fred and George for a second time, who give me another portrait password for collecting 70 blueberry pie beans. The password is Catweasel, which is funny because on my way to the portrait, we find a student whose kitten has fallen down this well, which we will need to find later on. By using the password on the portrait, we get the achievement Nitwit Blubber Oddment Tweak for collecting 70 blueberry pie beans to earn the Albus Dumbledore wizard card. Before delivering the sloth brain to Professor Snape, it's time to explore the rest of this area, to make sure we wrap up as much as possible before moving on and getting locked out of the area. My next achievement was for finding and completing minigames, and for the life of me, I couldn't find them until I came across this weird wall texture again, and pressed a button, and it opened. So, my hunch earlier on about the wall texture was correct. I have no idea how a kid is supposed to find these areas, by the way. These are hidden more than the Chamber of Friggin' Secrets. For this minigame, I just had to collect all the pink beans while avoiding getting hit. For doing this, we popped the achievement The Wizarding World's Coyote Peterson, for completing the minigame near the Puffskein area to earn the Derwent Shimpling wizard card. Behind the next hidden wall was the final chocolate frog needed for the achievement Wiggenweld Wanderer, for collecting all of the chocolate frogs and drinking all the Wiggenweld potions at the castle grounds. In the same area, by looking up, we find our next wizard card to earn the achievement Take a Trip to Hogsmeade, for finding the Hengist of Woodcroft wizard card near Hagrid's hut. We enter another hidden room to play the same minigame as before, to grab the achievement Where's the Beast, Newt, for completing the minigame near Hagrid's hut to earn the Newt Scamander wizard card. The final hidden minigame is behind this wall. After finishing the minigame, we get the achievement Keeping Her Away from Any Scabbards, for completing the minigame near the entrance to the Quidditch pitch to earn the Morgan Le Fay wizard card. In the final hidden room, we collect the last few blueberry pie beans to earn the achievement I Feel Funny, for collecting all of the blueberry pie beans. With that, we have finished everything in this section of the game, so all that's left is to drop off the sloth brain with Professor Snape to begin the next section. To find Professor Snape, we head into the dungeons. The dungeons is the next area of the castle for us to explore, so of course, we bump into Fred and George once again. In the dungeons, they want us to find troll bogey beans, so we need to be on the lookout for green beans. Disgusting. Heading into the potions lesson, we get the achievement Rated B for Brains, for giving the sloth brain to Snape. While in potions class, we have to play a quick minigame by tapping the buttons that appear on the screen. Snape then sends us to grab a jar of fireflies from the next room, but as we entered, the hooded figure is also in there, and shoots the ground beneath our feet, sending us further into the dungeons. In the next room, we can see these little trolls walking around, which stand on these grids once in a while. By throwing the puffer pods at them, they sneeze, causing them to fall through, which give us house points and a bean. After doing this to both of the trolls, we move into the next room, and we can hear the student at the top of the well this time. So, it's time to find a little kitty. And when I say little, look at the size of this thing. thing. We get it to follow us all the way back, and then by using Wingardium Leviosa, we lift it all the way through the bars back to the student, who rewards us with a wizard card, getting the achievement, A Wizard's Own Personal Alarm, for helping Raymond get his kitten back in the dungeons to earn the Edgar Strudler wizard card. Up next was a room with some levers and beans to collect. By pulling one of the levers, it opened up a door that led to this crazy ass room. In here, we have to use Flipendo on the moving cauldrons to stop them, and one by one, stop and jump to each one of them to make it across the room. There were so many times I almost fell in, but I made it right to the end and pulled the lever, and grabbed the chocolate frogs and beans as I left. The other room had a sleeping troll, but lucky for us, it doesn't wake up, allowing us to grab all of the items in the room and pulling the last lever to move a platform. By using Wingardium Leviosa on this cage, we can grab a key. The key unlocks the Firefly room. In here, we have a couple more trolls to defeat for house points, and then we finally find the Fireflies for Professor Snape. As we return back to class, we unlock the achievement, turn to page 394, for giving Snape the Fireflies from the dungeon's Firefly room. It's time to head to our next class, Defense Against the Dark Arts. On the way there, I had to collect beans and jump across these magical flying books to bump into Professor Quirrell. And I know he has a stutter in the film, but did they really have to put it on this much?
Welcome, young Mr. Potter, to Defense Against Dark Arts. You're just in time. Class, I'm Professor Quirrell, and this is your Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson.
For this lesson, we had to learn the spell
Verdimillious.
After tapping the correct buttons, we earn the achievement. This spell takes 20D batteries to use. For learning the
Verdimillious!
spell in Defense Against the Dark Arts. The spell is used for bringing objects in the darkness back to the light, so we can use them. By casting it on these platforms, they become solid, and we can now cross the room, and we even earn some house points for doing so. As we leave, we bump into Hermione, who talks about heading to the upper castle. But before we meet her there, it's time to explore more of the dungeons. Heading into this room, we can use our brand new spell to cross the platforms. This leads into a minigame where we have to move these cauldrons into position, and for doing so, Nearly Headless Nick gives us a wizard card and pops our next achievement. The future is now, old woman, for completing the second puzzle of the minigame before the curses area of the dungeons to earn the Cassandra Flablansky wizard card. Jesus, Flablansky. People just have normal names in this game. Cassandra Flablansky. By finding some more hidden rooms behind some bookcases, we complete 2 more cauldron puzzles for 2 more achievements. Famous for his golden balls, for completing the first puzzle and earning the Bowman Wright wizard card, and Godric, the bravest man in the world, for completing the third puzzle and earning the Godric Gryffindor wizard card. Next up was a pretty big section. This door has a curse on it, and we have to find and defeat a bunch of enemies in order to get rid of the curse. But the enemies are found in a massive section of the castle that is basically a maze. Here, we find a ton of beans and also some potions. In the next room, we meet Peeves, a ghost who is here just to piss us off. After insulting us, he just leaves.
Young Potter, you're ugly, but what can we do? Everyone says you belong in a zoo. If you look in a mirror, it surely will crack. The best thing to do is wear a nice sack.
While exploring the big section, we find platforming challenges, lots of beans, the first mini-boss to open up the door, which is a bunch of green eyeballs. Once defeated, it leaves the door and we get some points, and there are 3 more eyeballs to find. While searching, we find objects to move for points, turtles that summon fire from the shells, some chocolate frogs, the yellow eyes that we defeat. I got lost, fought some enchanted knight armor, defeated the red eyes, got lost again, earned some more house points, and finally found my way to the final eye boss, where the room had 4 more chocolate frogs to collect, unlocking the achievement Dungeon Dweller for collecting all of the chocolate frogs and drinking all of the Wiggenweld potions at the dungeons. For defeating the final eye boss, the cursed door was finally opened up. As I headed back and went through the door, I collected the last lot of troll bogey beans to grab the achievement. To some, this is a delicacy, for collecting all of the troll bogey beans. Now that we had all the troll bogey beans, it's time to head back to Fred and George to grab our reward. The next portrait password was Wanglewart, which sounds like an STD, and by entering the portrait, we get the achievement Better Than Your Robe Armor, for collecting all 80 troll bogey beans to earn the Quidditch armor. With that, we are finally done with the dungeons, and we can move on to the upper castle. And as we enter, oh my god, these guys are everywhere. Now they want me to collect chili powder beans. I hate spicy food, but fine. And then we head to Transfiguration class. There's a time limit to get there and a bunch of beans to collect along the way. As we enter, oh god, she's coming right for us. Why did we get such an ugly close-up? Jeez. Well, with that, it's time to learn our next spell, Aviforce. I love the way Harry says this one.
Aviforce!
By learning the spell, we get the achievement. I'm sure this will be helpful in the Muggle world, for learning the Avifor's spell in Transfiguration class. The spell allows us to turn bird statues into animals, and it also gets us our last few house points needed for this chapter of the game. Popping the achievement Gryffindor's Roar for getting a total of 345 points for Gryffindor on the 3rd house point Hourglass recap. Back in the upper castle, by using our new spell
Avifor's!
we can get back up to this door. As we enter, Hedwig drops off an item for us to pick up, but before we can grab it, Peeves shows up and steals it. So we need to chase him and get it back. But before we do that, let's enter this hidden room behind the bookcase. It's a minigame where we have to follow a kitten and collect 10 beans, and for doing so, we get the achievement, the David Beckham of Quidditch, for completing the minigame in the upper castle to earn the Roderick Plumpton wizard card. Up next was a really fun section. We just have to chase Peeves through this course, filled with slides, jumps, and a lot of collectibles. It's been a while since I've had a bit of fun with this game, and I've just been able to relax without worrying if I'm going the right way. Hey, I've won the race! Now to just wait for Peeves to show up. Peeves? Hello? Oh, of course the game crashes on the part I'm having the most fun with. Absolutely typical. Let's run it back. I grab all of the collectibles and win the race getting our package back. And it turns out to be an invisibility cloak. Nice. Perfect timing to get the cloak, as this next section wants us to avoid Filch and his cat, and make it through each section without being detected. On the PC version, I remember being absolutely terrified of being captured by Filch, but on the PS1 version, this was very easy. I raced through the sections towards the end to get to this room, where we get the achievement, What is your deepest desire? For reaching the Mirror of Erised in the Forbidden Corridor. We get another storybook cutscene showing Harry looking into the mirror to see his deepest desire of his parents still being alive. My deepest desire is for you guys to hit the subscribe button. Dumbledore shows up to explain that the mirror is to be moved to a new location, and as the cutscene ends, we find Ron, who warns us that there's a troll now on the loose. Jeez, can we just have a break or a nap in the school at some point? Come on, dude. Here is where the game just takes a massive turn in difficulty. Every time I think things are gonna get better, it just gets even harder, and it all starts here. This is probably the section of the game that a lot of people remember. As we enter the hole in the wall, we immediately find the troll, and it begins a chase scene. Similar to the Crash Bandicoot's Boulder levels, we must run away from the troll while collecting every frog and bean along the way. We have jumps and tight sections to avoid, and I failed this section a lot. If I was doing this without worrying about the items, it would be super easy, but some of these collectibles were just straight up mean. There was this jump here that starts before the section even begins, so most of the time I would either miss the frog, have to go back and get my ass trampled by a troll, or I would fall into the monster energy. Then, the worst bean to collect in the entire game. This one chili bean is slightly raised, meaning you have to jump at it in a very certain direction in order to pick it up. I was trying to complete this section for over half an hour, and when it was finally done, I got the achievement Frogs of the High Towers for collecting all of the chocolate frogs at the upper castle. Now it's time for the boss fight against the troll, and we don't even get to save beforehand. Alright, he's throwing stuff at us. Are you kidding me? The first thing hits me. Yep, as you probably guessed, this is another hitless boss. Luckily, I've saved before the troll chase, so I can attempt this again, but for now, I decided to do the first achievement, Thought You Ought to Know, for knocking out the troll with his own club. Now to quit the game and restart the troll chase to try the boss hitless. Well, I would if the game would actually let me. It just throws us straight into the next part of the game. You know what? I could actually go for some Quidditch right now. So, I won the game against Ravenclaw, grabbing the golden snitch to unlock the achievement Harry Potter 64 for winning the Gryffindor vs Ravenclaw match during adventure mode. Alright, back to this crap. By now, after all the practice I've had, I can easily get through all 3 sections of the troll chase, which, by the way, is so many sections for a troll chase without a break. The worst thing is, whenever I got to the boss, the second Harry or Ron got hit by a toilet, I have to do the whole chase all over again just to have another attempt at it. After a few more attempts and about half an hour later, the second achievement popped, Crack Shot Wizard, for knocking out the troll with his own club without letting any toilets hit Harry or Ron. We head back into the Quidditch section and Hagrid tells us about Fluffy, his 3-headed dog that is guarding something for someone named Nicholas Flamel, or as they call him in this game,
Who's Nicholas Flamel?
Of course, by using our save books, we have already done the Quidditch match. The only thing we missed from the story is that Hagrid's pet dragon Norbert is now very sick, so we have to travel to Diagon Alley in order to buy the ingredients needed for a tonic to heal him. After the troll chase and Hitler's boss, this game can't possibly get harder, right? Wrong. Welcome to Gringotts, bitch, where I'm guessing a lot of people's 100% playthroughs finished. We head to Gringotts Bank to grab some money in order to buy the ingredients. But there's a twist. In order to get get our money, we have to enter into the vaults. At first, the goblins have us run around on this super slippery floor in order to unlock the first vault. Remember that this is the first vault of 3. So, how do we get our money to buy the stuff? By doing this insane minigame. Whoever invented this minigame, I hate you. Straight up, I hate you. Harry and the goblin are on this minecart, and the way we control it is by using our weight to move side to side or all the way around. We can lock the minecart into position by holding X. Now, why is this so difficult? Well, you can see the coins that I'm trying to grab, which honestly is no problem. As long as I avoid the wooden planks so I don't get hit, just collecting the coins would make this a breeze. But oh no, the developers wanted you to hate this part of the game. In the top left, when it warns about upcoming coins, you can see a gem appear. There are a certain number of gems we need to collect in each vault, and we have to grab all of them. In the first vault, there are a number of sections where we have to collect all of the coins and all of the gems. Look at this. It wants me to 360 around to get the coins, and then straight after, do another 360 to grab the gems. This is insane and I hate it. Just to learn the first vault route and the mechanics of the minecart, I was at this for 2 hours, and by some miracle, I finally collected all of the gems to pop the achievement, Better Transit System Than London's, for collecting all of the gems in Vault 1 of Gringotts to earn the Ignatia Wildsmith wizard card. I saved the game on my middle save. In case anything goes wrong, I will never be doing that again in my life. Lol, JK, there's 2 more vaults to go. Now it's time for the second vault, and I won't lie, this did put me off playing the game for a few days. The minigame was stressful, it gave me motion sickness, and stressed me out. But I took the time to learn the mechanics a bit more. I discovered that by getting the minecart to turn upside down so that the middle part was about here, I could turn and lock the cart to move it a lot more freely to grab the gems a lot more consistently. For the 360 parts, it was all about using the weight of either Harry or the goblin depending on the way it wanted me to turn. I would raise one so that the minecart would make it all the way around with the extra momentum. The second minecart didn't take me as long to learn, and I got the achievement, A Risk with Every Mouthful, for collecting all of the gems in Vault 2 of Gringotts to earn the Bertie Bot wizard card. Now onto the third and final minecart. The final minecart added a new way to grab coins. We had the standard coins that you just need to lock in to grab. We have the 360 coins, but now we had what I like to call the swinging coins. We had to just swing left and right in order to collect the coins and the gems. On one of my very first attempts, I got every single gem by some miracle, but I didn't collect enough coins, so the game made me do it again. On the other 2 minecarts, the coins were a lot easier to grab and keep, but this final one had more wooden planks and harder coins to grab. So not only do I have to grab all of the gems, but I have to perform the best minecart movement the world has ever seen. And after an hour of learning this final route, it was finally over, and I unlocked the achievement, Hope She Doesn't Use Old Betsy on You, for collecting all of the gems in Vault 3 of Gringotts to earn the Helga Hufflepuff wizard card. Those 3 achievements might be the most frustrating achievements I've earned on this channel so far, and after a few days, it's finally time to get back on track with the story. Next, we head into Diagon Alley, with our money to grab the ingredients for Hagrid. At each stop, there is a small task to complete in order to grab the items. The first task is to find this frog in the boxes without destroying all of the boxes. First item down. The next item we can get by chasing this peacock around to grab 3 feathers. This one was annoying, but I managed to do it just before the time ran out. For the final task, we have to use Wingardium Leviosa to float treats over to this specific owl, without the other owls stealing the treats. After getting all of the items, we find Hagrid again and head back to Hogwarts. Getting the achievement, A Spoonful of Ashes Helped the Medicine Go Down, for giving Hagrid the ingredients to cure Norbert. We then get the next storybook cutscene. Norbert is now old enough to live on his own, so the gang take him up to the tower so that Ron's brother Charlie can take him to Romania to live with the other dragons. However, because of this, the gang get caught, and as punishment must head into the Forbidden Forest with Malfoy and Hagrid to search for a wounded unicorn. The Forbidden Forest area wasn't too crazy. Throughout it, I found hidden areas full of chocolate frogs and beans, used my spells to clear the way, earned some more house points by dropping more trolls down some grates, used Incendio on this plant to collect the last house points for this chapter, mixed and created a potion, had multiple fights against some turtles, before finding the final 2 chocolate frogs to pop the achievement Forest Forager, for collecting all of the chocolate frogs and potions in the Forbidden Forest. Before leaving, I ran through 2 more areas to collect the final 4 beans needed to get the achievement Sean Evans Awaits Your Reply, for collecting all chili powder beans. Then, by looking up, I found the final wizard card of the playthrough to get the achievement Quoth the Ravenclaw Nevermore, for finding the Rowena Ravenclaw card in the Forbidden Forest. forest. We make our way out of the forest by burning some vines and climbing up to the top, popping our next achievement, a splitting headache, for finding the wounded unicorn in the Forbidden Forest. Then we get a cutscene. Once again we find the hooded figure and Harry faints like a little bitch. The storybook opens up to reveal he was saved by Ferenz the Centaur, who told Harry that the hooded figure is Lord Voldemort. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time in the entire game Voldemort has actually been mentioned. Hagrid thanks us for helping him out in the forest and warns us not to go looking for Lord Voldemort. So it gives us an instrument which can be used to find Lord Voldemort. I swear this game and this plot is stupid. We practice by playing music for Hedwig. Hedwig falls asleep and we then talk to Ron and Hermione. They mention that the Sorcerer's Stone can grant eternal life to its user, which is why Voldemort is after it. Ron and Hermione go to wait for us on the 3rd floor of the castle to get past Fluffy. But before we head there, we have some stuff to wrap up. Going back to the upper castle, we speak to Fred and George to show them all of the chili beans, and in exchange, they give us the final portrait password, Wolfsbane. Behind this portrait is the achievement, Hollow Point Magic Spells, for collecting all 100 chili powder beans to earn the Knockback Jinx Duo spell. I mean, it says it's an upgrade, but I didn't really notice much of a change. We head to the 3rd floor to take on the final sections and boss fights of the entire game. And here, we get a pretty big achievement. Straight A+ student, for getting a total of 390 house points for Gryffindor before reaching Fluffy. The house points were an absolute pain in this game, as it's easy to miss even the smallest ones if you don't explore literally everywhere in the castle. But again, thanks to the spreadsheet, I was able to find everything as I went. Now, the real challenges of the game begin. Our first task on the 3rd floor is to get past, holy crap, that might be the scariest dog I've ever seen in my life. We have to play music to get past Fluffy, and as scary as this 3-headed dog looks, it was pretty straightforward to play the notes and get past him. We fell down a trapdoor straight into a devil's snare, a big ass thorny plant. Ron and Hermione get trapped behind some vines, so it's up to us to defeat the plant on our own. All we have to do is cast a strong flipendo on each of the highlighted vines, to bring out the main vine of the plant. Then starts a mini boss fight, which thankfully we didn't have to do hitless, but we also don't get an achievement for doing it either. I basically ran, charged flipendo to hit it, and repeated it until it was dead. Ron and Hermione were freed, and we ran into the next task. Here we had to use our Quidditch skills by flying a broom to chase after a key needed for the next door. With how much flying I've done throughout the game, this was the easiest task to complete, and I grabbed the key right away. Next, we find ourselves in a hallway. Time to relax a little bit. By heading into the secret area, I collected some more chocolate frogs and managed to save the game, which is a huge help, and then we went on to the next task, Wizard Chess. This is basically a puzzle with chess pieces. You can move one space at a time, and our goal is to bait all of the other pieces into killing each other. Once one piece takes out the other, it also gets destroyed. And I won't lie, I'm dumb as balls, and there are 3 chessboard puzzles to finish. But after a lot of trial and error and trying out different ways to complete each chessboard, I finally finished it and made my way to the next room. We find another secret room in the hallway where we can save, so I no longer have to keep redoing the chess puzzles over and over again. I collected a few more chocolate frogs and then followed Hermione into a room with a sleeping troll. The troll is that sleepy that it starts sleepwalking down the hallway, and we have to use Wingardium Leviosa by whispering to move the items out of its path.
Wingardium Leviosa.
By doing this, we bait it into a hole at the end of the corridor, and we head into the next room. It's a quick puzzle and fight where I have to choose where this knight with the blue shield ends up. I have to find the correct bell that it's located underneath, and then fight it. By defeating him, I can get an ice potion, but there's only one. So, Hermione heads back to check up on Ron, and we head through the black fire into the final hallway. We collect a couple of chocolate frogs, and head into the boss room. In this boss room, we see Voldemort, who brings 2 of the knights on each side to life. I run past them and grab the second to last chocolate frog and defeat the 2 knights and then another 2 knights in a fight. Voldemort then awakens a giant knight's armor, and of course we have to defeat this one without taking damage. The knight can only be hit after he has swung down his sword to reveal himself. The controls here are a bit weird with the new camera angle. We have to run towards him, bait him into attacking, and straight away move backwards. And the amount of time I got hit accidentally while trying to avoid his attacks was insane. Later on in the fight, he starts to swing the sword twice, and then again for 3 times, to try and trick you into getting hurt. I had to keep resetting the game, do the whole troll section and night puzzle before fighting him again. It took about 5 attempts of this before I realised that if I just let him kill me, it'll start me in the hallway just before the night fight. But eventually, after a lot of restarts, I ended up defeating him, unlocking 2 achievements. It's just a flesh wound for defeating the giant armor boss before Voldemort, and the wand is mightier than the sword for defeating the giant armor boss without taking damage. During all the rocks falling, it's revealed that the teacher who has been helping Voldemort is Professor Quirrell, and not Professor Snape, who the gang originally thought, and he runs into the final boss room. But before challenging him, we pick up the final portion of the entire playthrough to unlock the Forbidden Collector achievement for collecting all of the chocolate frogs and potions in the Forbidden Corridor. As we enter the boss room, we see the Mirror of Erised, and as Harry looks into it, he sees himself holding the Philosopher's Stone. And then we get jumpscared by Quirrell and Volder. Holy crap, this game is actually terrifying. With that, the battle begins. Voldemort casts green magic to attack us, and he also traps us in vines that we have to rapidly tap to get out of. By charging Flipendo, I can knock down the stone pillars to damage him. Doing this enough times gets us into the second phase of the battle. Voldemort now fires 3 green projectiles at us, with the 4th being a huge one that we can just about dodge by moving all the way to the left or to the right. I can now damage him by charging up the mirror, which blasts him. Doing this a couple of times takes us into the final phase of the battle, and I unlock an achievement. This is the Dark Lord everyone's afraid of, for defeating Voldemort without taking damage before the 3rd phase. Crazy, I didn't even know what to expect coming into this fight, and I've already done it hitless. And I can see why before the 3rd phase, as here, Voldemort has us on the ground, and we just have to rapidly tap square for energy and press X to do damage to him, but he's doing damage to us over time. After a lot of button bashing, Voldemort is finally defeated, unlocking the achievement He Who Must Not Be Named's Demise, for defeating Lord Voldemort. After the battle, we get a storybook cutscene of Dumbledore talking to Harry in the hospital wing. He explains that the whole school knows about the battle and Harry had won against Lord Voldemort. For now. Ron shows up and gives us the final wizard card, which is of Harry himself, which we got given for having all of the other witches and wizard cards in the entire game. And even though Harry just got out of the battle of his life, it's suddenly time for one final game of Quidditch against Slytherin. Of course, I easily win this Quidditch match, popping the achievement No Jinx Brooms this time, for winning the Gryffindor vs Slytherin match during Adventure Mode, and we get treated to the final cutscene of the game. The cutscene shows that Slytherin is currently winning the House Cup with the most points. However, Dumbledore then gives out an extra 60 points to Harry, making Gryffindor the winners of the House Cup. The game is finished, but we actually have one final achievement to grab. Turns out, all this time at the title screen, I've had an extra option. Play Quidditch. Yeah, even though I've won all the major matches throughout the Adventure Mode, there are 6 extra games of Quidditch to play in order to earn the Quidditch Cup for Gryffindor. So, I played the quickest games of Quidditch I've ever played in my life, listening to Lee Jordan yell the same things for half an hour.
Here comes a Slytherin seeker! I've not seen such flying! Amazing skill!
And finally unlocked the last achievement of the set, free tickets to the Quidditch World Cup, for winning the Quidditch Cup for Gryffindor. And with that, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's / Sorcerer's Stone has finally been mastered. If you want to know the next game I'm gonna master, all you have to do is subscribe. Thanks for watching.